Hey crafters, I am back with yet again some more holiday gift giving projects. Of course, we all love a little craft therapy around here, and we're also interested in saving money because that's kind of a thing, especially this holiday. Am I right? The gifts that I'm making today are actually all going to be upcycled. I will be taking some items that I got either for free or thrifted and changing them up into some unique items, hopefully very cute, very fun, that will be a lot of fun to give and a lot of fun to receive. We're going to be doing some tie-dyeing. We're going to use some old sweaters. We're going to make some decor, some stuff you can wear, all the fun stuff. So hope you join us for the crafting adventure today. Let's roll up our crafty sleeves, make ourselves a warm beverage, and dive in on a little holiday upcycling. Well, I love me a secondhand denim jacket, and this one is so cute. Look at the detailing. It's from Denim & Co., and I actually got it at a garage sale, so great find. The jacket is a little long, and especially the sleeves are a little long for me, so that's making me think it might actually be a perfect fit for my taller, adorable little sister. So why don't we do a little thrift flip gift with this jacket by adding a little fabric dye. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have dyed denim in the past. You guys might remember I did a denim jacket in yellow last summer. And man, it's so much fun to over dye denim. Of course, the blue color always shows through, but then the RIT will kind of work with the blue. And then in the faded areas, you'll get the dye color showing up a little bit more. So you'll get blue mixed with your color kind of overall, and then you'll have that dye color popping a little bit more on some of those bleached out elements a little bit more. So I'm going to only be using about a quarter of a bottle of scarlet or so, because I don't want this to be super vibrant, and I also don't have that much scarlet left. So let's give this guy an over dye of some light scarlet colors. And we'll be doing this in our bathtub. So let's head on over to the bathroom laboratory and I'll show you what I'm doing. Hey guys, while we're dyeing the jacket, what if we dyed a coordinating scarf? That could be cute. I got this scarf actually quite a while ago at the Goodwill bins, and it's in really great shape. It's just not an amazing color. So let's try adding it into the dye bath along with the jacket and see if we can turn it something a little more colorful. The tag says that it is viscose or viscose. I'm sorry, not quite sure which one that is. I think it should work with our red dye. Let's try it and find out. All right, guys, welcome to my bathroom. I'm going to be doing the dyeing in a tub. You can tell it's been used before for this project. If you're worried about staying in your bathtub, maybe you have a really old cracked bathtub, you could also do this outside. I'm keeping some of this handy. Oop, where are we? Here we go. Got some cleaning supplies ready just in case I get any drips or splashes. I'll want to clean those up right away. I've also been told by a lot of viewers that they do this successfully in the washing machine. So that might be another consideration as well. But today I will be adding, where's my cup? Oh, there we go. Some salt and a little bit of dish soap to our dye bath. Fill up this tub with a whole bunch of hot water, and then I'll be adding what I have left of my scarlet dye. I think I have that's about a third of a bottle left. And then once we got that all filled up, we'll get our garments wet, put them in there and mix them around, stir them around using my designated tie-dye spoon until we get the color that we want. And we'll take the garments out of there, make a little solution with some dye fixative, let it sit in that for a while, and then we can finally launder the thing. So let's fill up that tub and let's get to dyeing. Okay, guys, everything's been in for about 25-30 minutes, and things are looking pretty darn scarlet. Although definitely not as dark as it would have been if we'd added, more of the dye bottle. But I like what we've got. I think this is going to be good. I don't think we're getting much darker than this. I've been trying to stir it around when possible. Sometimes it's been easier just, use my gloved hands and stir things around, especially with this heavy denim. Might have actually been better to dye these two separately because it's a lot of fabric in here. But anyway, that's what we've got. So my next step, I can't find my fixative bottle. Next step is drain this out, refill it with some hot water and some dye fixative. Let these guys soak in that solution for about 20 minutes to try to lock the color in a little bit more. And then I will rinse them out and wash them on cold, and then I can dry them and show you what they look like. So I'm going to get to doing that, and I'll see you in a bit. Well, there you have it, you guys. Our highly transformed denim jacket. I'm pretty happy with this one. I think the color ended up working really nicely with the denim. You definitely have more of like a purple maroon vibe going on, but it's also really vibrant because all of the edges really picked up that brighter scarlet while the rest stayed dark. There are definitely some places that are a little darker, like under some of the pockets. I did go through and unbutton all of the buttons before I dyed it, just to make sure we could get as much dye in all the nooks and crannies as possible. But you can tell some edges, didn't get as much dye coverage, and I actually really enjoy that. I think that looks very cool. Let's take a look at our scarf and see how that turned out. Well, our scarf turned out kind of a cool color. It's almost like a light terracotta, but kind of a cooler tone terracotta. Wow, that's fun. I'm definitely still experimenting with dyeing viscose, so I'm wondering if maybe it didn't take the dye as much as, say, something else would have. Also, we didn't have that much red dye in there to start with for so much fabric, so it makes sense that it would turn out a lighter color. There are some spots on here that are a little bit blotchy with the dye, so could have stirred it a little bit more, definitely. Also could have scrunched up the scarf with a bunch of rubber bands and just totally created a tie-dye look. That could have been a lot of fun as well. But I do like this color, and I am enjoying it with the jacket. I mean, it's different, but they both have the same kind of undertones to them. Very fun. I think these are going to be lots of fun to wear, and hopefully my gift recipients will like them too. I thought I'd show you a project that I did a little while ago, and I kind of do it periodically for myself as well as for gifts. And that's just making cute little magnets. A couple of these guys were buttons. Of course, you can tell that one. And then these guys were some broken pieces of vintage jewelry. They're so cute. I love these. These are magnets from my fridge. But of course, you can also customize them for somebody else. Of course, the flat back buttons are the easiest. You just glue them right on to that magnet. I usually use my E6000 glue. You kind of got to let it dry for a little bit. Might have to adjust the placement of the magnet a little bit, but yep, he works pretty well. Of course, these guys would have had a loop on the back, and that's a little bit more tricky. I've used jewelry wire cutters to cut that plastic loop off the back, and then thank you to a subscriber who recommended just using a small metal file and filing down any lumps in the plastic that are left so that you can get a nice smooth surface to glue that button back on there. I think this guy actually had a flat back already. Cute little pendant. And this guy actually did have an earring post back, which I then had to cut down using those jewelry wire cutters and sand the bottom to make it flat for the magnet. But highly recommend DIYing your own cute magnets, maybe finding some cute things from your craft stash you want to use. Make them for someone else, or of course, make them for you too. Well, you guys, is it even an upcycled holiday gift video if I don't bring out some felted sweater bits and try to make something out of them? I don't think so. You guys know I love finding wool sweaters at maybe like the Goodwill bins or rummage sales. And if they have holes in them, that means I'm able to wash them on warm, dry them, and shrink that fabric down into something really fuzzy, really felty, doesn't really fray, and it's a lot of fun to work with for crafts as well as for making, well, upcycle gifts. You might remember this sweater from last year. I actually made a beanie that I gave to my sister, and I have a similar one that I made out of a different sweater for myself. This one's a little wrinkled because I just pulled it out of my hat box, but man, it is so cozy. It is so comfy. Put a little brim on it. Cashmere beanie. There you go. I do love this project. I love making it for myself. I love making them to give away. But I still haven't made one for a kiddo. So I think I'm bringing out my favorite pattern. You guys may remember this guy got him from Etsy, and I'll link to this seller down below. She has some really awesome directions on different versions of the recycle sweater hat beanie. And she has a whole bunch of different sizes. So I'm finally trying the little one. For this one is the 6 to 12 month old size. Here's the hat. I'm going to be making a 4-panel hat. So cut that guy out 4 times. And then here's my lining. I think I'm actually going to try lining it this time because I believe I have enough sweater. Hopefully we'll make something that kind of looks like this guy, but of course all one color. And hopefully it'll be really comfy and cozy for one of my little nephews. Oh my gosh. Okay, it is high time we did this project. So I'm going to do some cutting out and make sure I'm avoiding all the holes in these guys. And then I'll sew it up according to those directions on the pattern and show you what it looks like. Okay, here are all of our pieces. Of course, here's the outside of the hat, these 4 panels, and then these guys are the linings. And then we did have to make a long piece for the binding. I don't always do a binding. Sometimes I'll even use the ribbed edge of a sweater to make like a brim at the bottom of the hat. But I think I have just enough to make this kind of binding item. And since I am lining it this time, this could come in handy. So I need to do a little bit of pinning and sewing. I'm going to need to sew that dart on our lining pieces, and then I am going to need to pin and sew all of our exterior hat pieces together. And then once we have the lining pieces sewn together as well, then we can line up the lining inside of the hat exterior and hopefully sew them together and then bind the edges. And then hopefully we'll have a hat. Let's do it. Well, guys, our beanie is almost done. You can tell I just folded that binding to the inside, and I'm going to hand stitch that, just doing whip stitches all around the edge, hand stitch that in place, and then we should have a double lined very cozy beanie. This is looking pretty cute. I will say I definitely used a zigzag stitch, and I tried to make it loose enough to not really make the seams too curvy, but I did go back and iron with a lot of steam, trying to get the seams to lie flat as I could. I will say he is a little lumpy. I did do some pressing. I may go back and do a little bit of steaming and pressing too. Maybe put like a towel on the inside. Just kind of poof it out a little bit and press it and steam it a little bit to help with those lumps a little bit. This would be a really good time to have a tailor's ham. You know, one of those like kind of little pillows that you can iron over and make curvy things with, or help with curvy shapes. Don't have one of those yet, so yeah, I should probably get one of those. That will help. But I am thinking this should be a pretty warm and cozy hat, and hopefully pretty cute. So I'm going to do a little bit of hand stitching, and I'll show you, of course, what this one looks like when we're done. And here is our cute hat all finished. I just did a little whip stitch, tacking down the edge of our binding. And then I did try steaming our hat a little bit more. I kind of stuffed him full of a towel and then used my iron with the steam setting and tried to kind of just press out some of the warbly sections of the seams. Of course, I did sew with a zigzag stitch to try to work nicely with this knit material. I think I might have been able to maybe make that zigzag a little bigger, a little wider, kind of a little looser. Could have helped make those seams a little less bendy. There's a name for that. Sorry, what is the name? I don't know. But I think he is looking pretty good now. Pretty cute. I will say, I like the lining. It is roughly twice as much work, but it feels super nice, super like cushy and comfy. Also, hides all the raw edges. So, note to self, I think I might want to do that the next time I make a hat for me, because the ones I've made in the past, I didn't do it. You don't have to, but I just like the look. Of course, the pattern also mentions you could line the hat with some fleece, and that would be especially nice if the wool you're using is maybe really thick or a little itchy. I think this hat may end up being way too big for my little nephew at the moment, but hopefully he'll be able to wear it in the future. I may need to have this hat modeled by one of my stuffies today instead, just to show you what it looks like. And if you guys get behind upcycling, hand making, less commercializing your own Christmas gifts this year, hey, give this video a big thumbs up, will ya? And consider subscribing for more fun stuff from Partners in Craft. We're always up to something around here, whether it's holiday season or not. So hope you stick around with us, come along on a few more crafty adventures. I'm going to dress up one of my stuffed animals in this cute hat and show you what it looks like.